The long-running CBS crime drama NCIS hit a major milestone last night, airing its 500th episode, and fans were hit with a shocking twist. So, folks, if you haven't seen the episode yet, this is your spoiler alert warning. Turn your TV down, turn your phone down, because I'm about to spoil what happened in this episode. Beloved NCIS Director Leon Vance, played by the great actor Rocky Carroll, was killed while working on a case to save the agency from being shut down. I know,
hurts.
It still hurts. He tries to come to terms with his own death in this scene. Watch.
I gave up most of my life for this agency. And apparently my actual life. But for what? NCIS is gone. And now my children have lost both of their parents. So without putting too fine a point on it, this sucks.
Yes. And so it goes.
Carroll joins us now to talk about last night's stunner.
Bravo.
I know, beautiful. I know.
I'm like, I need to see more.
Right. Well, so it was an emotional scene. I mean, take us. And then Gail asked you on CBS Mornings, how'd you get those tears? How were you able to well up during that scene? And you said, you've been a professional actor for most of your life, but it is an emotional scene. And I wonder, I've taken 1 or 2 acting classes, and they ask you to draw upon your experiences to get to this emotional level. How did you get to that point in the scene?
Being a part of this series for 18 years and, shooting that scene in the room with a crew that I've been working with in front of and behind the camera, because I also direct episodes. So that was the easiest scene to shoot, because I was it's for 18 years, for the last almost 2 decades of my life, that's been the one constant. When the world was closed down with a global pandemic, I was making episodes of NCIS. So it's been the one real constant in a big chunk of my adult life. So shooting those scenes where you're sort of realizing that things were coming to an end, because it was art imitating life, and that my time as playing this character was kind of coming to a close. And I think I'm very fortunate, because usually characters don't get a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yes.
Sometimes your series gets canceled before the character ever comes full circle. And I've said this before, I don't know how NCIS, the series itself, will end. And usually the end of long-running series is very unsatisfactory. People still talk about Seinfeld. Like, what was that ending about?
That's right.
Or the end of The Sopranos. They just went to black.
Yeah.
So
I kind of like the Seinfeld ending.
but I feel like with this character, the rest of my cast members are like, at least you got to see, you got an arc. You got. So there was closure. I think the fans are responding. We'll see what the fallout is. But the best thing about dying in make believe is that you get to come on CBS the next day and talk about it.
We love that. But in that moment, I am so curious. Were you speaking to the crew? Were you speaking to the cast members about leaving them? Was it just was that the target in your mind?
Yeah, and I've said this a few times now, especially over the last few years, and I think especially it feels like even since the pandemic, I've lost so many people. I miss the days when I was younger and death was more of an abstract kind of somewhere off in the distance. I think about all the people over the last few years. It's like it's a lot more front and center in for all of us. And I think about some of the people just recently. I knew Malcolm Jamal Warner. I knew Andre Brower. I knew all these people that you thought were going to be around forever. So when you start you're doing even though it's it's a TV show, it's fictional, but when you're talking about death and mortality, it's like you reach a point, you have enough experience in life where you come to terms with it, and getting to that emotional state doesn't take a whole lot these days.
I like what you said on CBS Mornings, which is that you joined in the 5th season. You thought the show would last a couple more years after that, but you've been now here for 18 years. And that in and of itself is a blessing, but then they've also asked you to come back and direct again next year. So you're still going to be part of the franchise, which is amazing.
It's not final. It's not as final as it was sort of a goodbye for now. This phase of my tenure at NCIS has kind of come to an end. But 18 years. I mean, most careers in Hollywood don't last 18 years. So just to be able to play this one character is an absolute, just an embarrassment of riches.
Did they use the first take of that monologue, or did you have to do it again?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question. I don't remember. We didn't do a whole lot of takes.
Yeah.
We did that well. Yeah. You know, and as a director, a lot of times you'll do take after take, and then you get into the editing room, and you usually take. We're going to use take one. Take one's the best one.
Exactly.
Well, the other 36 we're not going to use. We'll do the first one.
Well, speaking of Hollywood, I mean, we were talking during the break that I loved you in Crimson Tide. Speaking of the people you've worked with, I mean, the late great Gene Hackman, the late great James Gandolfini.
Yeah.
What a wonderful movie! You told me you had so much fun making it. And also, what was cool about that is how many stars were minted. Steve Zahn, Gandolfini, Viggo Mortensen.
They were all on the verge of. It was before they became, bigger than life.
Yes.
And we were all together on this one, in this cramped set on the Sony lot and getting on each other's nerves. And Tony, people were trying to separate us because after a while tempers started to flare, and our director would go, no, let's see what happens.
Because that was the whole point of the movie, the tension within that submarine.
Exactly. Like I said, now somebody would call HR if something like that happened on set. But back then.
Let's harness this.
Let's harness
that tension.
Let them shove each other around a little bit and pour water on each other.
I love it.
Rocky Carroll, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for sticking around. It's so cool.